This lecture I am particularly recording for two of my students, Usman and Haris. Okay, they're international students. So we will be discussing a word, advanced word, and Mailmerge points. Uh, First of all, let me just enter some random text. So what we were discussing was that we have to know the basic two font types that are available. We have the serif and the sans serif. We do know that Times New Roman comes under the category of serif because it has pointed edges, and you have a sans serif like MS reference sans serif or Arial that has smooth edges. You can bold, underline, or make it italic. Over here, you have the strike through in case if you want to cross out something, but you don't want to delete it. Then you have the subscript and the superscript over here. For example, if I want to write H2O plus 2, I'm not sure about the valency, but so this is sub and superscript. This is subscript and this is superscript. So this is to increase the font size over here. This is to decrease the font size. You can convert the entire text into lowercase, uppercase, capitalize each word or whatever you may want to, or toggle case, or even sentence case. In the paragraph tab, you have is justify. You can justify, fully justify. Okay. You have the indent option. You can indent obviously towards the right. Well, you may want to indent the other way as well. You can go to the paragraph, and you have an option over here that says that you want to indent the first line by this much. Okay. So it will indent the first line. But if you don't want to indent the first line, you can actually do is make it hanging, and here you go. So you have hanging. It's not the first line, but the rest of it is being hanging. It's been hanged. Okay. Okay. Right, Haris and Usman. So next, what we have is other options are available here. You can come to paragraph. Before and after, if you want a space before and after, you can specify it over here as well. Okay, right. Then we have is styles. Well, this is mostly concerned with corporate house style. Corporate house style basically means what? Corporate house style means that every organization, every corporate has their own house style. We talk about Emirates, talk about Pepsi, Cola. You will see their letterheads, their websites, their visiting cards, their memos. They will always have a unique font type for the heading, subheading. So these are corporate house style. Now, in order for an organization to develop corporate house style, they have to define it within their Word application. For example, I can come here and I can say apply styles, and I can write over here is let's say Mr. Saem. Okay, I'll come into new, modify, and I can say that the font that I'm using should be of this color, format. I want the font to be bold. Okay, any other effects that I may want to give it, strike through, subscript, all caps, whatever. Okay, I might even want to come into paragraph and do some other things over here if required by the question paper. Okay, and make it bold, for example. Say okay. Now what's happening over here is, you can see over here I have defined my own style. Okay, so I can select any text and I can apply this style. In the exam question paper, they will ask you to make different styles. You have to give an evidence of the style that you have created. So you actually have to basically do what? You actually have to give a screenshot of this, telling that this is the style that you're creating. Okay, and maybe you can also give a screenshot of this, of the 3-4 styles that you have created. Okay, next we will come into the insert. The first thing in insert that you should know is how to basically insert different tables. Okay, so here we have the following table available, right? So we can make a table either this way, or we can come into insert table like Dreamweaver. We can insert a table, or we have a third option available through which we can actually draw a table. So we can actually draw the table in this way as well. Okay, so more complex, more complicated tables at times can be drawn through this way as well. It's up to you which one you want to use. Okay, then you're supposed to know about the picture. So let's say I'll just take desktop. I'll just use any picture. For example, I can use this. Right now, what I can do actually is I may want to actually use type. Now, what's the advantage of using type? The advantage of using type will be, as you can see over here, is I can actually place it exactly. You see, I get a straight line at the top and one straight line, it's probably orange, on the left hand side. So I have specifically aligned it over here. The difference between square and tight is, you can see there's a bit of a difference towards the text and the picture that I have. So that's how you can wrap the text around it through the type. You have positions available. If you want any default position to be placed, you have these available over here. So it's up to you which position you want. Okay, right. Then you have over here our shapes. Make sure that you go through the shapes during the exam. Don't waste time figuring out where the shape is available. You should be acquainted. You should know where which shape is. You should be aware of the fact that your shapes have their own properties. You can go to format shape. You can fill it up with different color, different gradient. So try to experiment before. Okay, during the exam, don't waste your time figuring out things. It's not a good practice. I'll not be discussing the following because these are basically not generic smart art. Okay, I'll come now to hyperlink and bookmark. What's a bookmark? Let's say if I take the following text over here to the next page, and what I'll do is I'll define a bookmark at the very end. So I'll click on bookmark and I will define this at the very end, and you add this. Okay, you have this at the very end. Now you can actually see the bookmark. In usual cases, you will not be able to see the bookmark, so you can make it visible by coming into options, coming into advanced, and you will see over here somewhere it says show bookmark. You have to check it. In the same place, you have your show measurements in centimeters, millimeters. Okay, if your measurements in the question paper are in inches or millimeters, you have to change it from here. Okay, right. So why have I placed bookmark? I'll tell you why. Let's say I want to link this with the bookmark that I've just created. So I'll select this. I'll come to hyperlink, and then I'll click on place in this document at the very end. Okay. Now what's happening is, if I press Ctrl and if I click on this, it takes me to the very end of the page, just like the anchoring we learned in Dreamweaver. Okay. So this is your bookmark. Now one more thing, that if you basically press Alt F9, by Alt F9 you can actually see the coding of this. Alt F9. Okay, so you will be able to print this as well. How? If you come into file, if you come into options, again if you come into advanced, right over there in the same place where I had show, it shows show field codes instead of the values, and even in the print option you will have print field codes instead of the values. So if you click on this, and now if you print, your field codes will be printed. Okay. Next what we have is comments. We might be giving some comments at any particular lines. Comments are used when multiple users work on different documents. So you may want to have different comments. You may want to share different comments. This is why comments are there. The header and footer, obviously it's something very common. I prefer always using the second option, because in the second option I can simply go into insert, I can go to quick parts, field, I can specify the file name and its path. Okay, if the file is not saved, so that the path will not coming. If I save it, the path will come. So if I don't want this option, I can delete it. If I want page numbering here, I can come into page numbering and current position, and I can place my page numbering over here. So three options obviously gives us the liberty to place whatever we want to in either of these three options that we have over here. Okay, please try to go through the quick parts, try to explore different things, like you should know the file name, the file size, you should know that the number of characters, the number of pages, the number of words should be present over there, the user initials, address, name, time, title. So just go through it so that you have an idea about it. Obviously there are lots of other advanced things that you will not be doing in your IGCSE ICT program. Then you have something really interesting over here. You have the equation. Now, what is the equation? We're talking about the accent. Okay, you should know how to make the accent enabled. I'll just show you what I'm talking about. At times you have a it's usually in French, so they can ask you to have an accent on top of it. So you just click on equation. Once you click on equation, this will open up. Now you have various kinds of equations available over here. You can see that lots of Fahrenheit, degree Celsius, really good scientific symbols are present over here. If you have fraction, we're not concerned about this. Let's leave it. Let's come to what we are concerned about, the accent. So I'll come to this option, which is the acute action option. So I'll select this option. Here we go. My accent has been enabled. Okay. You have the symbols available. You have various symbols that you can use from here. If you come into more symbols, you have more symbols available over here. So here we go. If you change the font type, obviously the symbols keep on changing as well. Okay. The most interesting is the webding, where your symbols where is webding? There you go, are actually small images, logo sort of thing, clip arts. Okay, so you can use any one of them if you may want to. Right. Anyway, we are not using that. So instead of any every character, you have uh, different clip arts available. We will talk about design because again this is not generic. I'll come to page layout. In page layout you have margins, so you can specify the top, rear, bottom, left, right margins over here. The gutter is left or top. You can specify the gutter. What is the gutter? Gutter basically is the space that you will leave for publication. The publisher will tell you that for binding we need this much space, so that is known as gutter. One more interesting thing that you might have to come across will be that to change one of the page to landscape. If I want to change this to landscape, I'll simply select this, come to margins, custom margin, I'll make it landscape and I'll say selected text. So it will actually do what? Make this landscape. So portrait, landscape. There is another way that I can come here, margins, custom margins, and I can say landscape and I can say this point forward. So wherever you want to do it, make it this point forward. The rest of the pages from that point forward will either be portrait or landscape, right? So that's how you change your pages to portrait, landscape. Again, experiment and try this on your own so that you have an idea. Your size for the exam is always A4, so keep this in mind. Columns, you can convert your any specific page text to multiple columns, 2 column spacing between the columns, you want a line between, so you will have it into different columns, right? Page break basically means that if you want to make the text or the content go to the next page. Column break if you want the text to go to the next column, right? Hyphenation is something really interesting. I can enable my hyphenation over here, automatic. I don't have any hyphen over here right now. Let's see if I have. I can type it over here again, so I can see if I have some. So yes, you can see I have one hyphen over here. So you can enable the hyphen. You can make it manual. And manually, it will ask you. I'll do it again manually. So in the manual, it will ask you, do you want to hyphenate this or not? I'll say yes. No. I'll say yes. No, and keep on saying it. So examiner might tell you what you have to hyphen, what you don't have to hyphenate, right? Mailing, I will be discussing this as well. Well, mailing is a pretty easy concept. You just have to select an existing Excel file or even an Access file or whatever it is. I will select one of the Excel file just to discuss in case. For example, I've selected this file. I'll come to edit and let me see, it's still loading. So I can select my Excel file, my CSV file, and I can load it over here. Okay, I have the following information. I'll just load something else, not this one. So let me select is some other file. For example, I'll select this one. So here you go, I have this. Now what I can do is I can actually insert my destination code and destination over here, and if I preview this, obviously I get my records in different pages. So my database has been connected to my page. So even if it's a letter in between, you can have your fields placed anyway. Okay, so for example, I could say is the letter that your destination code is this, okay, which will take you to the following destination. So that's your destination, and here you go. If I preview this, obviously this is what's happening. Just an example, maybe you can add more fields to it. Right, if you press Alt F9 again, you can see the merge field codes, okay, and you might print them as well. Right, next we need to discuss the rules. The most interesting one is the if then else. For example, I could say over here in if then else that if the destination code is equals to A, then I could say is it's my destination. Otherwise, I could say it's not my destination. So by implementing this, what's happening is, if I preview this, the very first one is it says it's my destination, and obviously when it's not A, it will say it's not my destination. So I've applied this from if then else. Sorry. So if then else basically does what? If then else, you can have anything, equal to, not equal to, less than, greater than, whatever you may want to. Okay, it's simple if then else that you have over here. Okay, in your Igcse they will not be discussing a lot more than this, right? So I don't think so there's any point of discussing the rest of them. When you come into A level, they will discuss this with you. Okay. Then you should know is review. In review, what you have is the important thing is track changes. I can turn on the track changes, and I can open up one of my review pane. The advantage of this is whenever you delete something, it will show what has been deleted, and if I add something, tell me what has been added. Why is this so? When multiple users work on a document, they would like different users to actually know what the other person is doing. So when multiple users share information, once the chief editor and the editor, they should know what has been added and what has been deleted. The final person who will be reviewing it will have the option to either accept the change or reject the change. So if you want to accept the change, you can accept and move forward, which means you have deleted, or you can say reject the change, whatever you may want to do. Okay, right. That's it for MS Word. This is all. It's not much that you have to learn. So there are other things, but they're quite out of the syllabus, so I would not discuss them much, right? I'll just discuss one more last thing, is the compare. It will just take a second. Let me do that. Just give me a second. So what I'll do is, please listen to this carefully. I'll open up a new page, and over here what I'll do is I'll type is equals to rand. It's one of the typical examples that I give. I will save this as, let's say, I'll just save it as 1. Okay, save it. I'll just delete something. I will just add something to this, and obviously what I'll do is I will save this as 2 again on my desktop. Now I'll open up a new MS Word file, and I would like to compare both of these. So I'll come into review and compare them. I would like to basically compare my first file with the other file. Okay, so once I do this, it will actually tell me that the following things over here were deleted and inserted. That's my compare document. It tells me the difference, what has been added. Okay, and okay, right, and this is my document 1, this is my document 2. So this is your compare. Right, so that's it for your Igcse document production and Mailmerge part. I will be discussing data manipulation advanced in the next lecture. Okay, Usman, that's for you. Okay, sorry we could not discuss this online,